Welcome to Subramani. One question which I have been answering for the last 10-12 years, and I have not been able to answer it to anybody's satisfaction sorry, is how much money do I need to retire? Obviously the answer is going to be very different for a 22-year-old than to a 72-year-old or than to an 82-year-old. So let me make an attempt as to what all people have said, and most of the literature is American, so we will have to perhaps modify it for India, but some of the answers don't look too bad. So the first one is to say you need $1 million US to retire. That's not a bad number to aim for, right? About 8 crores, which is very high for somebody who is already in the 50s, but it is not a bad number to aim for somebody who is in his 30s. Because over a period of time you are going to require that kind of money. Maybe for somebody in the 20s, 8 crores may be less, maybe require more, but $1 million US is a very standard answer given in US and perhaps in many parts of the world, where they say if you're young, aim target for $1 million. So if you're 35 years of age, don't even bother asking this question how much you require for retirement. You require a number which, if you do not know, just target $1 million US. The second answer that you get is to say that you will be spending 80% of what you are spending while you are in employment. So if you are 60 years of age and your annual expenses are say 12 lakhs, they say that you will spend something like 10 lakhs, which is 9.6 or 10 lakhs. I do not know how far this is true because I don't see too many of your expenses coming down, but this is one of the laws, one of the US axioms, I would say, saying that $1 million was the first one, second is 80%. The third American concept again is to say 4% of your corpus you should be able to withdraw. So if you have a 1 crore corpus, you can withdraw 4 lakhs every year and if you have 2 crores, you can withdraw about 8 lakhs every year. So if your expenses are in the region of 60-65,000, targeting something like 2 crores should be good at the age of 60. So if your expenses are say 7-8 lakhs or 4-5 lakhs at the age of 50, chances are it will become about 8 lakh by the time you're 60. So targeting about 2 crores from, so that you can withdraw 4% from your corpus. If you think 4% is too high and or too low, and you could think you can withdraw 5 to 6%, then you to adjust the corpus, and if your expenses are more, you have to again aim for a higher corpus. But 4% is a rule. America's very old answer to how much you require for retirement. This 4% comes from a portfolio which will be 60% in equity and 40% in debt. Of course, if at the time of your withdrawal 4% is not sufficient, for example, you have a corpus of 1 crore and your annual expenses are 5 lakhs, that means you will require 1 lakh extra at this stage, which could get worse as time goes by. So you should then prepare for a higher corpus, and if you think 4% is not sufficient, so if you think 4% is what you need and 1 crore, then which means 1 crore is not enough, right? So I'm saying, so therefore you should need maybe 1.5 or 1.25, and so that you can withdraw 4% from that. But however, if you think 4% is not a number which you are comfortable with because you want to put more money in debt and you want to withdraw only 3%, then you will have to adjust your corpus accordingly. Will 4% corpus or will 4% of the corpus always hold true? In US, for over long periods of time it has held true, but recently you've seen interest rates go up, equity markets go down, so people may be little iffy about the 4% rule. In India there is no such rule, but I would think something like 5 or 6% should work in India given our inflation rates. But that may not be sufficient for you, so you check out what is good for you, right? The other rule is also I think by Fidelity, saying how much money you should have saved at what age. So I'll read it from a table. It says you should have saved 1 time your salary by the time you're 30, 3 times by the time you're 40, 6 times by the time you're 50, and 8 times by the time you're 60, and 10 times by the time you're 67. Of course, in India, this may or may not hold true. You may need to have a greater savings because The US pension providers always assume that you will be withdrawing some 1200 per month or 1500 1200 to 1300 per month from social security. We don't have social security, so you have to provide for everything from your corpus, so you will require a higher amount. Also, this question is difficult to answer because a lot of uncertainties regarding our retirement. We do not know when we will retire, we do not know when we will be forced to retire, we do not know how much our corpus will grow, we do not know how much will be our medical expenses, how much will not be covered by insurance, how much of nursing and all those costs will be. So very difficult to give one flat answer and say you need so much. For in the Indian example, we normally say you need 30 times your annual expenses. So if your annual expenses are 8 lakhs at 60, then you need 2.5 crores. There are others who say that you should save 25% of your gross salary for retirement alone. Now this seems to be very steep, but this includes your contribution to PF, PPF, your ATC, all of that, including some part of the home loan repayment. So this is again a difficult formula to implement because it may be very easy in the initial period when you're staying with your parents, not paying rent, etc. But as time goes by and you shift to your own house, you get married, then you have other expenses, that time 25% may be very difficult. But the logic is to start with 25%. Later on you may require a lesser number simply because you have started early. That is one advantage of starting early. Then there are other things that you can do is use online calculators, and if it's very scary, go to a different calculator, right? So not enough calculators are available in India, though of course they are there. I mean, Pattu's Free FinCal has the calculators. Every mutual fund has a calculator. You decide what suits you. If it doesn't suit you, you can always go to the American calculators and put your expenses and your income, etc. Just imagine whatever your income is or whatever your expenses are going to be, just divided by 80, simply because it's all coming to you in dollar terms. Don't try to put it in rupee terms because the amount will look too big. $500,000 is not a small sum, but 5 lakh of rupees is not big. So when you make it 50 lakhs, it looks like, oh my God, your retirement is already done. You don't have to worry because 5 million is definitely going to be more than sufficient for many people. So those numbers may not work. Convert it into dollars and then try the calculators. That will make more sense. There is first of all no one particular answer which I can give you. Therefore, this range of answers and all from the American retirement literature. We have not created enough retirement literature. The question is why is it so complicated? Simply because we do not know how much returns you will get. You do not know how long you will live. You do not know what will your medical expenses. Too many uncertainties. You do not know how the market will behave over long periods of time also. So with so many uncertainties, it's very difficult to give one certain pakka answer saying this is what will happen. Since we do not know what will happen, we will have to work on a range of possibilities. So saying you need something like 2 crores to 4 crores or 2 crores to 3 crores for your retirement, and then work accordingly. Thank you. One of the asset classes in which we all invest for our just for our investment growth, not necessarily for retirement or anything, is equities. And in equities, you hold for getting appreciation, you hold for getting dividends. That is the purpose of investing in equities. So what is your real skill in equities is the ability to buy good shares and hold it for a very long period of time. I'm not even getting into this whether equity will give better returns or real estate or something. I'm just going this Jeremy Siegel way of he's done research over long periods of time, and he has come to a conclusion that equities give the best return. I'm not even arguing that next 50 years may be very, very different, because Jeremy Siegel is again a product of a very successful American economy which has dominated the world. It is no longer true. So will the same things work? Are the other conditions remaining same? Very good, very valid assumption. If you are in India in 2023 and you are investing, I don't know, but I am assuming that it will be true. And I am going to talk to you about dividends, because largely you invest for getting two things. One is appreciation and one is dividend. Recently it has become very fashionable to look only at the appreciation and ignore the dividends. For example, Motilal Oswal in its annual wealth study calls NTPC, Coal India, etc. as wealth destroyers because their share price has not moved. But if you take a drip, which means every time you received a Coal India or NTPC, IOC dividends, and you bought shares of the same company with that, what is called the dividend reinvestment plan, I think the answer would be very different. So you cannot do a 25-year study without taking dividends into account, but that is the way Motilal Oswal has been operating, and last 27-28 years that they have been doing the wealth study. They have ignored dividends, but that is for them to decide. As far as I am concerned, I think dividend is a very important part of your retirement income, because I do think that creating a dividend cash flow for your retirement is a very sensible way of managing money, because it means your corpus is going to be very safe, and maybe at the age of 80, if you start withdrawing from the corpus would be huge by then, right? So to me, I can see that as an advantage. So the problem with equity returns is you get very good returns, but you also get gut-wrenching fluctuations in between. Markets will go down, go up, and do all those things. For a dividend investor, managing emotions is far easier, because even when your share price fluctuates dramatically, it does not mean your dividends will fluctuate that dramatically. So if you're concentrating on dividends, I mean, let us take the classic example of Johnson & Johnson. Obviously the prices of the share fluctuated, but the dividend never fluctuated. It has been paying an increasing dividend at least for the last 50-70 years. In fact, there are companies which I have seen, there is one company which I have seen which has paid dividends for the last 201 years. Yes, you heard me right. 201 years that company has never skipped a dividend, right? So if you can be into some such business, if you can create a portfolio where your companies always will pay dividend and a rising dividend, whether it is from infrastructure, whether it is an MNC, whether it is a PSU, you have to build a portfolio, right? So it will have everything. You can't say, oh, Coal India is giving me 10% return, so I'll put all my money in Coal India. No, it has to be a diversified portfolio where you are getting a good return. So obviously there will be some like Coal India, Indian Oil, etc. at the 10% slab. You heard me right. 23 rupees is the dividend in Coal India, and 230 is not the price. Price is less than 220. So 10% dividend yield in Coal India, Indian Oil at about 78, 79. It looks very attractive. It has been good. I have been holding for a long time, but of course I trade in them also. So when it goes up, I sell. When it goes down, I buy. But yes, 10% dividend yield is available in some shares. And some shares will be available at a PE of 20, but a dividend yield of 4 or 5 and growing at a good pace. So those could be your future dividend kings. And some companies which you're buying today could give you dividends after 10 years. So you build a portfolio which is present dividend, immediate future dividend, and a long future dividend, right? So you build a portfolio accordingly. And based on that, the advantage, as I said, is the gut-wrenching volatility of the markets don't bother you, right? So if you're Coal India, you bought at 230 and is giving you 10% yield, and it falls to 190, it shouldn't bother you, because you know that at some stage some sensible guy will look at it and say 15% yield, 12% yield, they will all enter. So maybe 10% dividend yield to you is a great indicator that the price can't fall below this. So that is also an advantage. So you don't have to look at the day-to-day prices, you look at the day-to-day dividend that you are getting, or a year-to-year dividend that you are getting, and it helps you stay calm. This part of dividend investing is ignored by many dividend investing advocates, right? So that's a huge advantage for newcomers into equity, saying I will look at the dividend and not just at the share price. You will ultimately end up looking at both, but when you keep looking only at the dividends, chances are you will stay calmer. What good dividends do is to help you with your staying power. Now, staying power means the ability to stay on in any activity that you do. So if you have good staying power, you will stay on to a good job. I mean, if the job is good, you will join a gym and go there regularly. you join a swimming pool and go regularly, right? So regularity is the staying power. Now staying power is very difficult in a gut wrenching investment like equity, where once in a lifetime you're guaranteed a 30-40% kind of fall. 10% fall is guaranteed 2-3 times in a year, right? So given all this, dividend approach is far more helpful than just a price approach. So do a combination, it helps you, because during your retirement the ability to withdraw from here is much better than your pure equity portfolio with just appreciation. Thank you.